This is the Hyundai i30N, not to be confused with the similarly named i30N line. That one's a warm hatch. This one is a proper hot hatch. When it was released about 3 years ago, it was the first proper performance car Hyundai had ever released. And boy, did they get it right. Along with the all-new i30 sedan that Hyundai have just released, this car is also getting an update. No word on pricing yet, so it could be a good time to check out one of these older models and see if you can get yourself a good deal on a run out. The engine is a 2-litre 4-cylinder twin turbo that outputs 202 kilowatts and 378 newton meters of torque. It's got a 6-speed manual gearbox and will get you to 100 k's per hour in 6.1 seconds, all the while making an awesome noise. Practicality isn't always a major concern for hot hatch owners, but it is good to know that the boot has a 395 litre capacity, expandable to just over 1,000 with the seats down. Now that's a little bit smaller than some of its competitors, and there is also a rather large torsion bar in the back there, which does eat into space just a little. Overall, the interior is pretty similar to the regular i30, although some nicer materials have been used. We've got some nice leather accented suede seats that have 12 ways of electric adjustment, and they're heated as well. Not that you'd want to think about that in this weather. The steering wheel is also leather wrapped and has a very nice feel to it as well. The center console screen is an 8-inch unit that sits up on top here, which at the time this car was released would have been one of the best ones on the market, but in a sign of how quickly technology changes, it now feels a little bit dated and a bit old hat. The graphics are a bit low res, but the good news is the new model due in April is going to get the larger 10-inch unit that we're seeing in the rest of Hyundai's newer cars. Looking forward to seeing that. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto are also standard on this unit as well. A couple of things that this car has that the rival VW Golf R missed out on is digital radio, cordless phone charging and manual transmission. The VW only had auto. Another great feature of the infotainment system is the customization mode, which allows you to adjust this car's steering, acceleration, suspension firmness, all really easily with very easy to use menus. It's probably one of the best systems I've seen in any car. In front of me is an old school analog instrument cluster, which I think for a hot hatch just feels kind of right. You know, like it's a little bit old school with a manual transmission. It just wouldn't be right if it was full of sexy, colourful graphics that looked amazing. Old school analog just works here fine. There is a small digital screen in between which you can use to show various functions and features about the car. Unfortunately, no maps. The steering wheel is a really good size. It's easy to throw around in the corners. It's the pretty standard i30 unit with cruise control function here on the right and some sound system settings and mobile phone buttons here as well. Underneath that, a couple of paddles for the drive mode. The left one is the preset drive modes, and the right one, which has a finishing flag on it, is the N mode, or your customized drive mode, which you can do through the center console screen. The gear shifter has a great feel to it. It's got a nice short throw between the gears and it feels nice and solid. The one thing that is slightly annoying is just getting it into reverse. You've got to lift up this ring and get it up there into the top left-hand corner and then try to find first again afterwards can be a little bit tricky, but you get used to it. And there's also an old school handbrake here, which has such a nice feel to it. You don't see many of these anymore. Just about every car I've reviewed, I think, since I started this channel has had an electronic handbrake. So it's nice to see an old-fashioned one, but you can't really pop a handbrake easily without one now, can you? We've got some aluminium pedals down the bottom here for the accelerator, brake and clutch. The clutch actually has quite a firm feel to it. You do need to step on it fairly solidly when you're changing gears. In the back seat here, just like the i30N line Premium, there's not a huge amount of room for tall people. I'm behind my own seating position here and I'm 190 centimeters. I've got my knees sort of straddling the seat in front of me. There's no toe room, but there is a bit more headroom than the i30N line Premium because that one has a glass roof and this one doesn't. There's no bulge here like you get in that car, so it's actually a bit more spacious, which is nice. The seats are the same as the front, more leather and suede. No rear air vents, unfortunately, no rear USB charging. We've got a couple of ISOFIX points here for a baby seat and an armrest with a couple of cup holders. But is backseat comfort really a major concern for buyers of the i30N? I doubt it. Let's see how we go from 0 to 100 in the Hyundai i30N. This isn't as easy to do in a manual as it is an automatic. You've got to be pretty skilled at your gear changes to get this right. So this might not be the best, but I'll give it a red hot go. the pops and crackles coming out of the twin exhaust at the back, everyone is going to know that this is no regular i30. But the fact that it could be mistaken for a regular i30 is actually part of the appeal for me, because it doesn't have an over-the-top body kit. It doesn't look like an old Mitsubishi Evo or a Honda Type R. It's more restrained than that. The bits of kit that it does have on the outside are really more about the function. They all actually do something to help make this car perform the way it does. There's nothing showy-offy about it. Hot hatches are designed to bring the worlds of daily driving and the racetrack together. But I do have to say that as a daily driver, maybe I've just been spoiled lately with some of the cars I've been driving, but this does feel like a lot of hard work. Partly it could have something to do with the fact that this car is a manual, and it's been several years since I've driven a manual on a regular basis. It just feels like it would be a lot of effort to keep this car as a daily driver. It's something that you'd probably want to hoon around on the weekend on, and if you're going to be stuck in traffic on a daily basis, you might want to pick something that's perhaps just a little more softly sprung. Suspension is quite firm, especially in sport mode on rough roads. This particular stretch of freeway I'm on now is not one of the better ones. It's also not terribly quiet in here, especially in sport mode, which I've got it on at the moment. It's opened up the valves in the back and there is just that hum going all the time. Watch what happens when I turn it off. See? Gone. And back on again. There it is. At $45,447 with a 5-year warranty, the Hyundai i30N is outstanding value. It's around about $2,000 less than a VW Golf GTI, it's about $5,000 less than a Renault Megane RS, and $7,000 less than a Honda Civic Type R. So I think the only real way you can decide which one to get is to take them all for a test drive. But I think with the new i30 on the way in April 2021, it'd be hard to beat the value of this current i30N.